What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and I just spent all weekend playing the Octopath Traveler, which is just melting my brain because it has so many different aspects of what I love in RPGs. This is just a demo that gives us an opening taste of the game. Essentially, you get to play the first 3 hours and do whatever you want. Recruit the heroes you like, wander where you desire, and just kill the bosses that cross your path. Now, I do want to say, obviously, this isn't the final product. What I'm doing here is just basically trying out stuff like the upgrade system, combat, and learning how mechanics work. But I want to tell you all about it because I'm honestly so impressed already. For the beginning of this demo, you get to choose which of the characters you want to play as, because in this game, there are apparently going to be 8 different heroes that we're going to eventually recruit in order to save the world. For my playthrough, I picked Therion the Thief, for multiple reasons, but mostly the fact that I find it so interesting to see a character who starts out doing bad things but ends up becoming so good. His tale opens up by showing us why he became a thief in the first place. Really, it kind of seems like he just fell into the business and ended up making friends as a child. He sort of learned the lessons of the street and figured that if I want something, I should just be able to take it. As he grew up though, he wanted to be the best thief in the world, stealing the things that nobody else possibly could, and it's here that our story begins. Basically, he hears about a legendary mansion that has some sort of very cool loot, but he doesn't know how to get into it. It's here that we're introduced to the gameplay aspect that's really going to break down how these 8 different heroes are going to behave when we're not just in combat. Apparently, everybody is going to have their own special ability, like in this case, I can pickpocket. Anybody who's standing still, you can walk up and reach into their pocket, and if you're successful, you can steal an item. Like in this case, I'm stealing a deed that'll let me actually go into that giant mansion and basically skip all the guards. All the different characters, though, have very different skills, because obviously they're not all thieves. Some are able to do things like intimidate people, talk people into giving them extra information, or seduce a guard. Like, one of the people who I really liked is a big, beefy knight, and he has the ability to challenge people to a friendly duel, a basic way of trying to challenge people in a test of might. If you win, they will be swayed over to your side. Now, I like this because not everybody is obviously going to let you beat them up, but certain people who are incredibly strong and not going to be able to talk into changing their mind, sometimes you just gotta beat them up in order to get them to join your team. Focusing back on Therion though, he's somebody who steals stuff in order to try and advance the missions themselves. Like in this case, I'm now inside the building. I managed to sway my way past all the security, and now it's a matter of sneaking through these halls, and I really began to notice how glorious this graphics engine is. I like the fact that there are these 16-bit character models that look like a Super Nintendo, but the lighting style and a lot of the stuff about the environments themselves look much more modern. I think that they definitely got the graphical engine of a very modern RPG that's very three-dimensional, and then put it into this very 2D world. You notice this even more in later sections when it's a lot more opened up. When I got my full party and we're just trudging around on this glorious beach, you really get to see the spray of the waves and see every little tide and pool. You see that this is an actually really well programmed game, and it's not just that they made it look 16-bit to try and save money. You know, I have to say, I really like the combat itself because it also looks really beautiful. I want to talk about fighting here for a second because this is by far my favorite aspect of this RPG. I like that it is so unique. So basically, every single enemy has a series of armor points, something that makes it where they're going to take less damage and be able to punch you in the face at the beginning of each turn. However, if you figure out what their weakness is, every single time you hit them with their weakness, it takes off 1 armor. If you take their armor level all the way down to 0, they will be stunned for a full turn. Now, the reason that's so important is because some of these people really hurt. I mean, especially some of the bigger bosses. If this dude, who is 9 feet tall, punches you in the face, it's gonna take off 20% of your total health, if not more. But if you fight smart, coordinate with your other teammates, and really utilize their weak point, you can end up doing extra damage and stunning them, because when they have no armor, they cannot attack. It's during this time that you end up discovering that there is definitely a really careful dance, a rhythm to making sure you are hurting an enemy, healing yourself, and being prepared for that next big stun. Now, something else that helps you do this is the build-up system. There's a special element of combat called boost. Basically, every single turn you're saving up your own special attack power, so while you are taking that time to cast spells, heal yourself, or maybe just get something ready for a big defensive move down the line, you're building up extra attacks. At any time, by pressing R, you can set it up so your next strike is going to hit them multiple times in a row, or do one huge strike if you're casting a magic spell. Now, this is really the main key to victory for times like this. Let me give you a specific example. So right here, this dude was really messing me up, but Therion the Thief, when I was playing him, I put all my special job points into upgrading his skills that would let him do magic attacks. In this case, a huge fire spell, which I figured out that this boss is very weak to. So I could use the fire to try and melt his armor and make it where he's going to be stunned sooner, but if I want to fight smart, instead, it's probably wise to chip away at his defenses, and then when he's stunned and opened up to more attack, that's when I use all of my boost to do a humongous fire spell that will decimate him. And this also makes it where I can actually do more damage quicker, since I'm only focusing on the times when he's going to take double damage. This is so smart, and it makes it where you really have to treat each of your characters very, very differently, because they have different weapons and different ways of attacking, which means that you need to worry about what you have equipped, what you're using, and trying to strike each person's weak point in the most fluid fashion possible. You cannot just spam the attack button over and over again and expect to win. Even in random battles, I found myself trying to be very strategic to make sure I wouldn't get overwhelmed or lose a bunch of health from just some random birds that are standing in the middle of a valley. Overall, I have to say that the couple hours I've spent with this now have been very, very positive. I think that the writing itself and each of the different heroes we can play as are so cool. I also like that you get to choose how you want to go around the world. I mean, personally, as soon as I got my own main character and left his opening town, I went south and just kind of explored the countryside before stumbling upon recruiting my next guy, who was an apothecary. I never would have even thought of recruiting a guy like that, but just since I stumbled into town and happened to help him out, I discovered that he is a very powerful ally. Each person in this game is so different that you're probably going to end up having to switch them out a bunch throughout the final game to make it where you're utilizing everybody's skills properly, or else you're easily going to get decimated by these big bad bosses. The only complaint I have, and this is very tiny, is that I feel like some of the backgrounds and foregrounds get a little bit blurry in an artistic effort to try and simulate depth, and that just doesn't quite work. It may get patched out or become an option in the final game though, so right now I'm not going to count it against it, and perhaps it's just one of those things that my eyes will fully get used to it after I'm done beating this 80-hour-long journey. Okay, I'm done rambling about this because I'm still just so hyped. At this point, I have to say that this is now my most anticipated game for the rest of the year probably, just because it is so big, so fun, and so good. It manages to be familiar without just feeling like a retread of other Square Enix RPGs. But what did you think about this? I am going to be doing a full review when the full game comes out here in just a couple days, so definitely be tuned in for that. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a big ol' favor, give this video a like, share with your friends, and tell me what you think about Octopath down below. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Also subscribe. I almost forgot to say that. I'm just so excited. You know what? I'm going to go back through this demo right now because it's just so good. I might say that this is probably worth buying a Switch for, depending on how awesome the final game is. Oh, hey, I was just playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto on my Darth Vader PSP. Are you curious what I'm going to come out with next? Well, if you click this button, you'll be subscribed to be the first to know. Also, if you click over here and here, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. I promise, it was super good. Or it was really bad and I'm sure you can just make fun of me in the comments. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.